Welcome back to the Anti-Cancer Lab. If you're new here, pull up a chair, you're in good company. This is where I read the cancer studies most people never see and tell you, plainly, what they mean for your plate. No fear, no hype. So grab a coffee, and honestly, that's where today's whole video lives, in your coffee cup. Today's one is cheaper than you think, it's at any supermarket, and the research behind it is older and better than I expected. We're going to talk about one little spice you can stir into the cup that's already in your hand every morning. Not cinnamon, not turmeric. I know those are the two everybody reaches for, and I've covered them before. Today it's something most folks over 60 have in the back of the cupboard and never think to use this way. Stay with me, because I almost skipped this one entirely, and the methodology is what changed my mind. Quick note before we start, because this matters more on this channel than any other. I'm Dr. Becker. I'm a researcher, not your doctor, and I have never had cancer or treated a single patient. Everything I'm about to tell you is me translating published studies for general education. None of it is medical advice. None of it replaces your oncologist or your treatment. And no food in your cupboard is a cure. If you're in treatment right now, every single thing here goes alongside the people caring for you, never instead of them. Bring what's useful to your medical team and let them drive. All right, coffee in hand? Let's look at this together. I used to roll my eyes at this one. Then I looked at the methodology. I'll be straight with you, because that's the deal on this channel. When I first saw cardamom and cancer in the same sentence, I assumed it was another wellness blog stretching a thin little petri dish study into a headline. I've seen that movie 100 times, so I almost didn't read the paper. And then I did. And I want to be careful how I say this. The lab work behind green cardamom is generally more interesting than the hype around it, which is a rare thing to be able to say. Usually it's the other way around. Usually the hype is louder than the science. Here, for once, the quiet science is the better story. Let me tell you what cardamom actually is, in case it's been sitting unused in your kitchen for 10 years like it was in mine. Green cardamom is a little pale green pod, about the size of a fingernail, and inside it are these tiny black seeds. You crack the pod, you smell it, and it's this bright, cool, almost eucalyptus and citrus smell. That smell is the whole point. That smell is chemistry. The two compounds doing most of the talking in there are called cineole, sometimes written as 1,8-cineole, which is the cooling eucalyptus note, and limonene, which is the citrus note, the same family of compound you find in orange peel. Hold on to those two names. Cineole, the cooling one, limonene, the citrus one. Both of them have been studied for what they do to cells, and that's where this gets worth your time. Here's my honest read of the strongest piece first. Limonene, that citrus compound, is the one with actual human footprint behind it, and I don't say that lightly. Most of what you read about spices and cancer is petri dish or it's mice, and I'll be honest about which is which all the way through, because you deserve that. But limonene specifically has been through early human work. Years back, there was a small clinical study where women scheduled for breast surgery took limonene by mouth in the weeks before their operation. And when researchers looked at the removed tissue, they could measure the compound concentrating in the breast tissue and saw a change in a specific tumor signaling protein. Now, I have to slow you down right here. That was a small study. It measured a biological marker, a signpost, not whether anybody lived longer or whether a tumor shrank. A marker moving is a reason to keep studying something. It is not a result you take to the bank. But it does tell you the compound gets into the body, reaches the tissue, and does something measurable, which is more than I can say for most things that get a wellness headline. So when people ask me, is there any human evidence at all behind any of this spice talk? Limonene is the honest answer of, yes, a little, early, real. So let me put cardamom on the plate, because mechanism with no plate action is just trivia, and I don't do trivia here. The realistic version is this. You do not need a supplement. You do not need to spend money. Green cardamom pods cost pennies a serving and one bag lasts a year. Here's exactly what I do, and what I actually do most mornings now. Take 1 or 2 green pods, press them with the flat of a spoon or the side of a knife until they crack open, and drop them whole, cracked, right into your coffee grounds before you brew, or into the pot if you do stovetop. The cracked pod releases that cineole and limonene into the hot water. You get a faintly sweet, cool, citrusy cup, and it cuts the bitterness of the coffee, which a lot of older folks tell me they appreciate as it is. If you don't want to mess with pods, ground cardamom from the spice aisle works too. A quarter teaspoon stirred into the grounds. Cheaper still, the pre-ground. The fresher whole pods have more of the volatile compounds. That's the only reason I crack my own. But I'm not going to pretend the ground stuff is useless. It isn't. Use what you'll actually use. A spice you don't enjoy is a spice you abandon by Thursday. Now that's one. Here's the next layer, and it's about what cineole, the cooling eucalyptus compound, has shown in the lab. And here I have to be more careful with my language, because we step down from human work into dish and animal work. In laboratory studies, cineole has been looked at for two things that matter in cancer biology. The first is something called apoptosis, which is just the body's word for a cell's built-in self-destruct button. Healthy cells have this button. They know when to die. Cancer cells, broadly speaking, are cells that have forgotten how to die, that ignore the off switch and just keep dividing. In Petri dish studies on several cancer cell lines, cineole nudged those cells back toward pressing that self-destruct button. The second thing is inflammation. Cineole has been studied, including in respiratory medicine, where it's actually used, for calming inflammatory signaling, dialing down some of the chemical messengers, things with names like NF-kappa B, that drive chronic low-grade inflammation. And chronic inflammation is one of the slow background conditions that, over years and decades, makes the soil friendlier for cancer to take hold. But I have to plant the flag right here, and I want you to hear me. That apoptosis work, the self-destruct button, that was cells in a dish. That was not a person. Wait, let me say that more carefully, because the distinction is the whole ballgame on this channel. When a compound makes cancer cells die in a laboratory dish, that is a real, repeatable, published observation. It earns the compound a place in the queue for more study. It does not even a little, mean that drinking cardamom coffee makes cancer cells self-destruct inside your body. The dose in a dish is concentrated in a way you could never reach by drinking coffee, and your body processes and breaks down these compounds in ways a dish never has to. I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, then why are you even telling me this, Becker, if I can't get the dish dose? Fair. That's a fair question, and I want to answer it honestly. I'm telling you because the direction of the evidence is consistent and benign. We are not talking about a fad with nothing under it, and we are not talking about a risk. We're talking about a pennies a day, pleasant, anti-inflammatory spice with real chemistry behind it that you're adding to a drink you already make. The downside is essentially zero. The upside is small but real and points the right way. That, to me, is the definition of a smart, low-cost lever. You don't need a guarantee to justify a free, enjoyable habit that the evidence leans gently in favor of. Let me build on that with the plate, because I promise you plate, not just biology. Cardamom is not only a coffee thing, and I want to give you options so this actually sticks in your week. It's a backbone spice in a lot of the world's longest-lived kitchens, and that's not nothing. In a lot of South Asian and Middle Eastern cooking, cardamom goes into rice, into stewed lentils, into warm milk at night, into oatmeal. So here's how I'd actually work it into a week without it feeling like a chore. Coffee in the morning, like we said. A pinch of ground cardamom stirred into your oatmeal or your yogurt, where it tastes like a warm, citrusy cinnamon and you genuinely won't miss the sugar you'd otherwise reach for. And if you drink warm milk before bed, the way a lot of us did as kids, a cracked pod simmered in it is one of the most comforting things you'll put in your mouth, and you're getting the compounds at the same time. Frozen, canned, fresh, none of that applies here. It's a dry spice. It keeps for a year in a closed jar in a dark cupboard, and it costs almost nothing. This is about as low friction as anti-cancer research ever gets. Before I move off cardamom, let me give you one more honest layer on that limonene human work, because I get asked to show my homework, and you're right to ask. That breast tissue study I mentioned, where women took limonene before surgery, the marker the researchers watched is part of a signaling pathway that, when it's overactive, helps cancer cells survive and spread. Seeing that marker dip in the actual removed tissue is the kind of small, concrete, you can measure it finding that earns a compound a real research future. There's also a long line of population work, the observational kind, where people who eat more citrus peel and citrus-rich foods, which is where limonene mostly comes from in the diet, tend to show somewhat lower rates of certain skin and stomach cancers. Now I have to be careful, the way I always am with that kind of study, because observational work shows you an association, a pattern, never a cause. People who eat a lot of citrus peel might just live differently in a dozen other ways that protect them. You can't pull one thread out of a whole life and call it the cause, but the pattern is consistent enough across enough populations that researchers keep coming back to it. So when I add cardamom to my coffee, I think of it as standing in that same citrus compound family, on the gentle, sensible side of the evidence. Not a magic bullet, a reasonable bet at a price of nothing. Stay with me, because the next one surprised me, and it's the second spice I promised. While I was deep in the cardamom papers, I kept bumping into another copper spice with even more lab work behind it, and it's clove. The little dark dried flower bud you stick in a ham at the holidays. Clove is loaded with a compound called eugenol, which is the warm, almost numbing, dentist office smell, and there's a reason your grandmother put clove oil on a sore tooth. Eugenol is one of the more heavily studied plant compounds in cancer cell biology. In laboratory and animal studies, it's been looked at for pushing several types of cancer cells toward that same self-destruct button, apoptosis, and for interfering with the signals tumors use to build their own blood supply, which has a name worth knowing, angiogenesis, the process where a tumor grows new blood vessels to feed itself. Cut off the supply line, you slow the growth, at least in the lab. And here's the part the headlines leave out. So let me be the one to tell you. All of that clove and eugenol work, the impressive stuff, the apoptosis, the blood supply interference, that is almost entirely in cells and in animals. The human couple reality is much humbler. We do not have the kind of human trials for clove that would let me say it does any of that inside a living person. So I hold clove more loosely than cardamom. And I'm telling you that on purpose, because I'd rather you trust me on the small, honest claim than oversell you on a big, shaky one. What I will say is that clove is a real anti-inflammatory and antioxidant spice. It's been used safely in food for centuries, and a pinch of it in your coffee, with the cardamom, makes a warm, almost chai-like cup that is genuinely lovely. So I'm not putting clove in your cup as medicine. I'm putting it there as a flavorful spice with promising lab chemistry and a long, safe history of being eaten, and if the science keeps building, you'll already have the habit. One quick safety note, because honesty cuts both ways. Clove is strong. A pinch of the ground spice in food or coffee is the kitchen amount, and that's all I'm ever talking about. Concentrated clove oil is a different thing entirely. It's potent, it can interact with blood thinners, and it is not something to be swallowing by the dropper. Kitchen amounts of the actual spice, in actual food, that's the lane. Now here's where it gets practical. And this is the multiplier that costs nothing and that almost nobody tells you about. There's a third cupboard spice that doesn't fight cancer on its own so much as it helps the others do their job, and it's plain black pepper. The compound in black pepper that gives it the bite is called piperine. And piperine does something genuinely useful that's well documented in human studies. It slows down how fast your liver and gut break apart certain plant compounds, which means more of those compounds actually get into your bloodstream instead of being destroyed before you can use them. The most famous example is turmeric, where adding black pepper has been shown in human studies to raise the absorption of curcumin, turmeric's main compound, by a very large margin. I'm not telling you to go run to turmeric. I said at the top I wasn't going to lean on the obvious ones. I'm telling you the principle, because it's free and it's real. A little crack of black pepper alongside your spices isn't a separate chore, it's a multiplier. Wait, let me back up and be precise, because precise matters here. Piperine raising absorption is solid human pharmacology. We've measured it in people. Whether that extra absorption translates into less cancer in a person, that further step is not proven, and I won't pretend it is. But the absorption part is real, it's free, and a twist of the pepper grinder over your morning eggs or into a savory dish is the easiest multiplier in your whole kitchen. So the honest, practical plate is this trio, and none of it costs more than a few dollars a year. Cardamom in the coffee for the cineole and limonene, a pinch of clove for the eugenol and the warmth, and black pepper across your savory food to help everything you eat actually get absorbed. That's a real, defensible, pennies a day spice rack, and not one bottle of it came from a supplement aisle. I sat with a man last spring, worried sick about his PSA numbers, his prostate test creeping up year after year, and he was driving himself half crazy on the internet. Call him Walt. Walt had a kitchen counter that looked like a supplement store. 40 bottles, $300 a month. Half of them things he couldn't pronounce, and none of them things he enjoyed. And he asked me, almost embarrassed, is any of this even doing anything? And I told Walt the truth, which is what I'm telling you. Most of those bottles you could pour down the drain and lose nothing but money. But the boring stuff, the cardamom in the coffee, the handful of cruciferous vegetables, the walking, the sleep, that's the stuff with the steadiest evidence and the lowest cost. And you'll actually keep doing it because it's pleasant and it's already in your day. Walt got a little teary, if I'm honest, mostly out of relief. He'd been carrying this idea that staying healthy had to be expensive and miserable. And it was such a weight of him to hear that the affordable, enjoyable version is also the more defensible version. His wife, Sue, told me later he stopped dreading his mornings. That's the part I think about, not the chemistry, the morning. A man who used to choke down 40 bitter pills now cracks a cardamom pod into his coffee and smiles a little. That's a better life. And it's also, as it happens, the better supported one. And let me be straight with you, because we've reached the place where I have to be. None of this is a cure. A spice in your coffee does not kill cancer in your body the way a headline says it does. Cardamom is not going to undo a tumor. Clove is not going to shrink one. And if you ever see a video or a bottle promising you that, close the tab and keep your wallet shut, because that person is selling something and it isn't the truth. Here's the honest version, the one I'd stake my name on. What we have for cardamom is some real early human signal for one of its compounds, limonene, and solid laboratory chemistry for cineole. What we have for clove is strong lab and animal work, and not yet the human proof. What black pepper gives you is measured help getting other compounds absorbed. And what all three of them share, for certain, is an anti-inflammatory, antioxidant profile, near zero cost, near zero risk in kitchen amounts, and a place in some of the healthiest eating patterns on earth. That's it. That's the whole honest claim. It shifts the odds a little, maybe, over years, and it costs you nothing to find out. I won't dress it up bigger than that, because the day I start overselling you is the day you should stop trusting me. So here's your one thing this week, and it is genuinely just one thing, and it's cheap. On your next shop, buy one small bag of green cardamom pods, or one little jar of ground cardamom if you'd rather. It'll cost you a couple of dollars, and it'll last you the better part of a year. Then tomorrow morning, crack 1 or 2 pods, or stir in a 1/4 teaspoon of the ground, into your coffee before you brew it. That's the whole assignment. 1 spice, 1 cup, 1 morning. And then see if you like it, because the best anti-cancer habit in the world is worthless if it's miserable and you quit it. If you like it, it's now part of your life and you didn't have to think about it. If you want to get fancy later, add a pinch of clove for that warm chai note and a twist of pepper on your savory food. But start with the cardamom in the coffee. That's the step I'd start with myself, and it's the step I actually took. Let me leave you with this, and I mean it calmly, not as a slogan. You hold one lever every single day, 3 times a day, and it's your plate, and now it's your cup too. That is not nothing. You can't control your genes, you can't control everything that happens in your body, and I would never stand here and tell you that a spice puts you in charge of cancer, because it doesn't. But you can control what goes in the cup tomorrow morning. And you can do the small, cheap, pleasant, defensible thing, consistently, for years. That's the whole game. Be the safe driver. Do the doable thing. Bring it to the people caring for you and let them do the rest. Your last decades can be good ones, and a warm, citrusy cup of coffee is a fine place to start that work. Keep it simple, keep it on your plate, and I'll see you right back here. Bring a friend who needs this, and tell me in the comments which one you're starting with this week, cardamom or clove. I read every single one of these.